Hi, I'm Michelle Olivier, and you're listening to Hey, I Want Your Job, the podcast that looks at amazing jobs and what it takes to get them. Hey, and welcome to Hey, I Want Your Job. Today we have Stephanie. Stephanie has had many jobs, all of which seem fascinating and exciting, and some of which seem delicious. Stephanie, after that, what is your job title at the moment?
At the moment, my job title is business and life coach for entrepreneurs.
Okay, very specific niche there. So let's start with some backstory and the delicious comments. Why would I classify some of your jobs as delicious?
Yes, because I think I owned a personal chef service for 11 years and cooked in people's homes daily, weekly, and for small dinner parties.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I dream of being bougie enough to have private chef. Like that's living the dream for me. I love to cook, but really I would just love to have enough money to pay somebody else to cook to my standard or above would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So already I think that's fascinating. So you ran that business for 11 years, and I'm right in thinking that like you didn't just run it, girl.
In
Like
the beginning, I did.
you knocked
And
it out of the park. So let's
yeah,
talk a little bit about when you say ran a business. Let's give some specifics around that awesomeness.
yeah. So in the beginning, it was just like so many people start out. You're the technician, you're the operator doing the actual work, and you're still answering the phone, you're marketing, you're booking the jobs, you're taking the payment, everything. And you're doing both, like the E-Myth, the entrepreneur's dream, where you're doing the technician stuff. You get to cook and love the actual work, but then you have to figure out how to promote yourself and build a business.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. And by the end of this first year, like in the middle of the second year, I was booked 5 days a week.
Oh wow.
So I was, and the phone kept ringing. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And I literally hired a girl to come cook with me. And I booked her. And within 6 months, she was working 5 days a week. And it just kept going. So
And so
that's,
then one strength to another. Next thing you know, you had like a fleet of
yeah.
chefs and a seven-figure income, and you
Mm-hmm.
really did achieve the actual dream, not the dream people think they have, but like the actual dream of doing it. So why on earth did you think to why did you stop? What happened that you
Yeah.
stopped that and transitioned?
Great question. I've noticed this point, and I'm now coaching lots of other people in years like 5 to 7
Mm-hmm.
in your business. If you can survive, you pay your rent, you pay your car, you go on vacations, like you have everything you want. You may have like subcontractors or people you give work to, but you kind of like just want more of something. And I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I have heard about coaching, and people would ask me, how did you start your business? Why do you have so many clients? How are you charging so much money in an industry that is generally very low pay, for cooks in a restaurant? Um, and getting consistent income can be really hard in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm going to coach on this. And I started coaching personal chefs how to start and grow their business. And that's what I did in from years 5, 6, and 7. And my business kept running, but I hired a full-time manager and I stopped cooking as well. I would never book myself. Um, it's truly like an owner you become. And it's very weird because you're used to doing everything yourself and it's really hard. But I just started coaching and I saw their success and could almost get high on that. And I was
Yeah.
like, why am I going to go kill myself in people's homes if I can help other people's dreams come true?
Hmm.
So I did that. And then I kept working. I got to year 11 and I'm like, I want to do coaching full time, make it as big. And like, I saw that I could do it here. And I was like, I can do it here. Like, yeah.
Okay. So if it worked in one place, it's going to work in another. And that is amazing. I have a, like, I am really bad about not being able to let shit go. I
Mm-hmm.
have two amazing business partners who are way smarter than me in so many ways. And yet I feel the need to like at least have some kind of like a micromanagey box ticked with like every damn thing we do, right? Like I have one of my business partners is an award-winning editor from like a publishing background. Like Lydia has forgotten more about grammar than I have ever bothered to know in my damn life, right? I'll be like, I'll write a blog post, and Lydia's like, oh God, please don't. Please don't blog post. How did you, for yourself, like, how did you break that? Because I think that's so entrepreneurial, right? Like, we are those people. How did you break that for you and like get zen with people
Yeah.
doing it not your way, Stephanie?
Yes. First of all, it's a complete skill you have to learn. You're not, and practice. You don't come into this knowing how to delegate and how to trust and how to teach people a process.
Mhm.
So you must learn it, and it takes longer than you think. It's honestly years of evolving. And one thing that I knew from day one was there had to be a bigger reason than just me working less and keeping the same amount of money. Because
Okay.
that's like what we want in the short term. We all want this. But I knew if I kept booking myself in people's homes that I would never get to XYZ, like what I
Right.
really wanted over here.
Yeah.
So I took like the short, and I made less money in the beginning. Like I took less money out of the business.
Hmm.
In every call where it was like another baseball player, another athlete, where I would normally jump on it, and they would call for me because they knew I was the owner. And we would say, like, we're not, she's not booking right now. It was hard because you just are like, oh, I'll do this one last one. Or,
Yep.
you
It's
know,
always one last one.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
So,
as
yeah.
long as you're the one taking those sales calls, it is so hard to
Mhm.
say no because then they bond with you, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, you are so smart and you know all the things. And you're like, of course I am. I know this. That's
Yeah.
why I have this business. And
Yeah.
like, it's true. But at the same time, like you're saying, like, you have to take that strategic step back and be like, yes, I know this, but I also, because I know this so well, I have people that also like know what the hell they're doing. So I need to
Yeah.
like let them go do that so I can start driving us this way here. And that is, I think you're right. It's so hard. And one of the things for me, and you can speak to if this is your experience as well, like I came from corporate, right? So I have been
Mhm.
managing teams for like my whole damn life, way longer than I should have been managing teams.
Mhm.
Managing teams because nobody should put a 20 something year old in charge of like a you know a night out, let alone a team of humans. um
Right.
and I've been in charge of people forever, and I really just assumed therefore that managing in a corporate environment would translate beautifully, seamlessly to
Mhm.
managing in a startup, like small entrepreneurial environment. And it just doesn't. And I've had so many things that I've had to learn and unlearn and wait. Like, and like I said, I'm really lucky to have two great business partners who check me and they're like, Olivier, dude, we are not an F50 company
Mhm.
having like our quarterly, like, you're fine. And they'll do stuff like my kids leave dinosaurs and shit on my desk. And so if I am in the appropriate mindset, when somebody is rambling at me, I'll do stuff like I'll march the little dinosaurs across the camera and they're like, there we go. That's what we needed.
That's
We need that one
funny.
back. They're like, go find a
Yeah.
dinosaur. So yeah, no, I totally understand. But I think, like, is that one of the things that you see a lot that people assume that because they have related experience that then they know what they're doing.
Yeah, what I was going to add from the last part is
Oh, sorry.
we have to get over this fantasy that only us could do it. Or
Mm.
like I'm some unicorn and I'm the only one that can do XYZ, because it is never true. And it only stops your growth. You
Mm.
think it's helping you, but you've heard this, like you become the bottleneck in your own business and you
Yeah.
cannot grow. So I just wanted to say that is also a skill to learn, of letting all of that go. But in translating, yes, because managing people and getting them to do what you want is, which you kind of never do, is a whole different ballgame in a different setting. So managing, I'm trying to like give you an analogy. We would have a lot of restaurant cooks that wanted to be personal chefs.
Mm-hmm.
And coming out of that structure, which I would call more like corporate, you have very specific things to do. You get a paycheck every 2 weeks. You have to dress like this. You have a menu, you have recipes, everything. A personal chef is very different, being in somebody's home, and your personality and your demeanor are the most important, not your cooking. So I would get people that are amazing cooks, but I know no one's going to want them in their home. So I had to learn how to hire for a very specific thing where technical skill wasn't even the most important. And then how to manage that and turn their technical skill and make them really be a part of a team.
I think Anthony Bourdain used to talk about that a lot, that most of the people that are in the kitchen are in the kitchen for a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's the back of the
Right.
house and that you don't
Yeah.
need to see all of that, because they are people who have fantastic specific skills, but they are not necessarily, super customer friendly, shall we say.
Mhm. Yeah.
And finding somebody that has that balance is like a really like unique ability. So,
Mhm.
and I think that in and of itself kind of translates to a lot of different things. Like they say the same thing about, my husband works in tech, and they're like, yeah, there's tech, and then there's people who can talk to people. And if you find both, you've got the unicorn, take it.
Yeah.
But like
Mhm.
it's my guess is it's the same thing kind of in that sector. So that makes sense to me. So then talk to me about the coaching. So first of all, do you have any like pieces of paper that say that somebody should hire you to be a coach? Like, are you a certified coach in any way? And that is not a judgy thing. It's just an asking thing.
Yeah. I love pieces of paper. I don't know why I like have to have a fancy, expensive diploma. It's so bizarre because it doesn't even matter at the end of the day. But like, even when I went to, a lot of people don't go to culinary school. A lot of people do. But I took a tour of Le Cordon Bleu in Scottsdale, and I just saw the diploma, and I'm like, I want one of those. And they were like, okay, it's $10,000, sign up. And I'm like, fine. But it opens so many doors because people want that like reliance on another institution or something that you actually went through.
Somebody
So
you
yes,
feel like you can pass the buck to. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, but even like on your resume, when we used to send like paper resumes and resumes online, the minute they see your school, this, you're going to get a call back versus somebody else. So I knew that from a very long time ago. And even with life coaching, which is such a bizarre industry at this point, like anyone could be a coach, anyone could say anything. So I just
Doesn't make it a good
found
idea. It just, yeah, absolutely.
you don't even
Absolutely.
have to like have any requirements. So I found the best school, which I think is the Life Coach School, and the owner, Brooke Castillo, makes an absurd amount of money. She puts together an amazing program that you can live in you can grow with. You don't just finish it and it's over. So yeah, the program was just as hard as Boston University, where I went, and you have to coach, you have to evaluate, you have to do everything.
That's so interesting. So I have, my qualification is in information advice guidance, and it's the one that's the standard in the UK, because that's where I was when I did it. And it's what they call an NVQ, which is a National Vocational Qualification. And what that means in practical terms
Mhm.
is that they are a set of qualifications that rather than teaching you something new,
Mhm.
basically measures your ability, like it gives you better tools to do a thing you're already doing. Does that make sense? So like you
Okay.
can't get an NVQ in information advice and guidance if you're not giving people information advice and guidance. Like they're
Mhm.
all kind of connected. So I think it's really interesting that you went to a program that was like totally more like a traditional degree program and
Mhm.
more like submersive and that sort of thing. So because again, from my experience, it was very much okay. So here's how to make the conversations you're starting to have more effective. Here's the things to stop doing that, like maybe you've been. No, don't. You're not here to give them all the answers. You're here to help them ask better questions. All that kind of stuff. So
Right.
talk to me, like, what is a course load at life coaching school like? Like, what does that look like and feel like?
Yeah. So this particular program was two parts. The
Hmm.
first 6 months is your certification track,
Hmm.
and you get placed in a small group. We had 8 people, and our coach instructor, she's like a master coach, somebody else. And we had to go through the core concepts that she teaches, which is how to use the model, which is a self-coaching tool that we use
Hmm.
on ourselves and we teach our clients so they can manage their thoughts, their feelings to get the action and the result they want.
Hmm.
So we practice that a lot. Um, Relationships is a big one. Relationship to yourself, relationship to your business, to others. There's like, I would say 10 core sections we studied.
Okay.
We had tests on it. We had to coach live each other in a very specific 20-minute format. That's the first 6 months. Then you get certified. Then you choose your track, which is either applied coaching or entrepreneurial. And this was hard for me because I wanted to choose entrepreneurial and start my business right away and get going. But I really wanted to be a really good coach. So I chose the other one. And it was much harder because you're not doing all the things I want to do, the easy stuff for me. So, yeah.
So let's talk about the whole like entrepreneurial coaching thing.
Mhm.
Um, one of the drawbacks to being an entrepreneur is that there is definitely a period of time where you're broke, where
Mhm.
you're just like you are flat out. It is 100% hustle for a 20% return.
Yeah.
Um, and that's really like that's challenging. That's a very financially trying time. That's where a lot of businesses don't make it, but it's
Mhm.
also probably the time that they most need help.
Yeah.
So what is your take as a coach? Like, at what point should an entrepreneur be looking at, hey, maybe I do need a coach, and what does that look like, and you know, how do you balance all that into the finances of it?
Yeah. Like that first part, I don't think, I know I didn't go into it knowing like some simple truths because we all think your business is here to make you money and it should support you and it should work right away. And if those are not happening, something's wrong. Something's wrong with you and you should stop. And those 3 things are completely wrong. First, your business is like a baby and you don't have a baby and say, go to work when it's 1 week old.
I mean, I did. I didn't
You know
listen,
you
but I
did.
tried, Stephanie. I was
Yes.
like, look, you who are a major cost vector, we're going to need to start to see some ROI. Let's go. Come on.
But you did, you didn't. You're joking. You're laughing. They can't see it, but you
Yes,
are.
I am.
It's literally insane to take your baby and be like, give me the money for diapers, give me the money for formula. You should be paying for your own nanny, like everything. But that's what we do with our business in the first year. We want it to be a cash machine when we haven't put anything in it. So just getting that right and knowing that nothing is wrong if that's not happening right away is really important. Um, the average time it takes to break even in your business,
Mm.
easily 1 to 2 years before you start seeing a profit. People don't know that. They'll throw up a store or put up a website and in 3 months be like, it's not working. I'm leaving. I need to get another job.
Great. Leave. It
Yes.
takes away some of the competition in the overcrowded market. Please.
Yes. Definitely survival of the fittest from day one. And if you make it your client's problem to give you money, that is all wrong. It's your job to offer enough value, like in the tipping point. I don't know if you know that book, that there's just a tipping point. It tips to where you keep giving in what many ways, marketing, service, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden you start getting a yes. And then you keep giving, and then you maybe get one more yes. It doesn't finally tip until honestly years 2 and 3, to where it's consistent, steady income that's predictable, that you can invest and rely on and stuff like that. And I don't think a lot of people are explained that or know what it is.
So, I mean, in 2020, we all learned to make sourdough bread. And, then we all started some kind of a business, right? Like everybody started a business in 2020, which means statistically, most people who started a business in 2020 are going to fail. Yeah. So when you how do you lay that groundwork without making people cry? Like, how do you say that in a way
to cry? No, I'm kidding. It depends what you consider failure, first of all, because failure, I think, is very important and needed. It depends the reason for doing it. If this shiny object is why you started it, and then you get offered a job because you don't have consistent income and you don't want to deal with the stress, you're done either way. Like, you're not willing to weather the storm.
Right.
You have to be this is why coaching is so important. You have to be able to manage your brain and your emotions for that whole time to get you through. Because your brain's going to fight you every single second. This is not working. I want to stop. Nobody's looking. I should just get a job. I need health care. It's going to feed you all of that. And what a good coach would do is like spin you around and be like, listen, what do you really want to create?
Well, but I would say, I guess I'm going to push back on that a little bit, because as a coach myself, like, sometimes the answer is, you're right. If those are the things that are important to you, you should not continue to do this, and you should go get a job. That is absolutely, yep, you're right. And I think that those are, for me, like the harder conversations. Like, I don't shy away from much. As you probably gathered, I am fairly comfortable with conflict. So that's an issue. But I know that in general, like, when people come to me for advice, that's one of the things I always have to say is, it's like, look, just know that I'm going to tell you the truth. And so be sure that that's the thing that you want to hear. And I don't do the kind of business coaching that is what your specialty is with the entrepreneurial stuff. And I would think that, like, even in what I do with careers, I often have to say, you're probably not ever going to do that. And if, even if you were able to get that job, you would be miserable. So stop. And that conversation is really hard for some people. And it is one of the areas that career coaches consistently fail, that they are not as comfortable with conflict as I am. So they avoid that. How do you personally handle having those hard talks with your clients? How do you approach that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because as regular humans, we just want to be liked and people please and be hired again and be recommended. But I always think they're not paying me to be their friend. They could go to their husband, they can go to their mom, they can go to their friends if they want to hear the shit that supports their current stories. If they want to have what I have or something more than what they currently have, you have to kind of show them what their thoughts are currently getting them. And they always get to decide. The whole thing is like, if you tell people what to do, they're going to go against it. If you show them what they're already thinking and doing, they might not realize the pattern, then they can decide to change it. And that's real power.
One of the things I liked that your website talks about with your process is the whole, like, there's facts and then there's drama, a differential. And I think that that's so true. Like, we get caught up in the emotionality and the drama and the fears and the excitement and all of those things. And we like forget to boil it down to the facts. The facts are you made X last month and your costs were Y. That is where you are. Whether or not you feel like you are on the brink of great things or on the brink of closure, the facts are that you are, this is where you are. So but I also know that your focus is on guiding people with heart. So do you, within that, like, how much do you tell them to listen to the drama? Because you can't ignore it. God knows I have tried, Stephanie. I have tried, and it is terrible. When you ignore the drama, it gets worse most of the time. So how do you encourage people to find that balance?
We do a lot of writing out the story and underlining what is a real fact and what is a thought. We do this all the time. A fact is only something that is provable by many people. Like the sky is blue. Today is Tuesday. Everything else are our thoughts about it. So in business or in relationships, honestly, we spend like the first 3 sessions writing out stories, and I have them pick out what's a circumstance and what's a thought. Once they see that 99% of what they're telling themselves is a story and is actually optional, it begins to like loosen up. Like, you're not so obsessed with your own story. And instead of, I tried everything, Facebook doesn't work, I don't know how to write, I don't know how to post, I don't want to do it every day. And when it's, okay, how many posts did you make? 1. How many offers did you make? 1. Okay, now what? What's the story you want to make about that? So it kind of...
Oh, I feel you. Like, my folks will be like, hey, what should I do about finding a job? And I'm like, great, here's the 5 steps I need you to follow. And here are like the exact numbers that go with that. And they're like, oh, that's a lot. I'm like, yes, it is a lot.
Yeah.
But if you would like to find a job in 4 weeks, that is how you do it. And they're like, okay. And then they go off and they come back and it's like, 3.5 weeks later. And they're like, I don't have a job. You said, I was like,
yeah. Did you do the work?
Did you do the things on the list? No? Then why are we having this conversation? I don't know what you want from me. My advice remains the same from the last time I told you what you should do. I get really, for me, like, this is why I can't sell like bundles of coaching time, is because, like, I've told you once, I don't have anything else to say until you have done those instructions. And if you do those instructions, probably I don't have anything else to say except congratulations, because they tend to work. And so, like, personally, again, because my space is different from yours and it's very that individual path to getting into work, there's so much crossover with all of the emotionality and the psychological stuff that goes with it. And I have to be pretty hard and fast with the line, because I am not a certified counselor. I have no desire to be a certified counselor.
Yeah.
And while I can empathize and take some of that into account in giving my advice, ultimately, I can't help you fix your mental health issues. That's somebody else that does that. And so I feel like as coaches, we spend a lot of time saying, like, did you do what I said? And trying to draw out that line. I would think that with entrepreneurs, that line would be even harder, because so much of all of it is the emotionality of feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's so much of the anxiety and all of that. And so, how do you maintain that line between like what is appropriate for a coach and what is like, hey, I am not a mental health professional. You
Yeah,
should go get one. Like, how do you keep that? Where do you
totally.
draw that line?
First of all, we've we've been trained to look for what doesn't fall into the realm of coaching. So
Mhm,
I did have somebody reach out once and they were not a fit. I knew that mental health was more important, or
mhm.
like you need to deal with your mental health stuff first. Coaching is more moving you forward.
It's
And if you
directional
can't,
as opposed
yeah,
to healing. Mhm,
it's really different. So just separating them out right away. The second part is everyone has emotions, but we're never taught to feel them and process them.
mhm,
So we do that. I do it in the container of business. The same stuff is going to come up in your people too. They're scared, they're afraid, they doubt themselves, they're overwhelmed, they're confused. We can have all these emotions and still take action
mhm,
and still move toward a result. So that's a lot of what I do. I noticed, because you mentioned, did you do this? Did you do this? When I would give homework to people, and some people will always do their homework, some people will never. I took the never people and I stopped. And I was like, I'm literally not giving you any homework, or I have them decide the homework. And then they're like, what? I don't understand. And I'm like, you're not doing it. So what's the point? No, 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 I want you to give me homework. And I'm like, no, you decide what you want to do to get these next 5 clients or get this website up by this day or whatever we're working on. Then their frame totally shifts, because you
mm,
can't, they have to be responsible for their thoughts and emotions and results. I can't do that. Neither can you.
mhm.
You know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely.
So,
I always say, hey, I've got a job. I'm not like
yeah,
gonna argue with you. Like that's
the real coaching is the why they're not doing it. And
mm,
that's what people come to the call with.
mhm,
Or I did, you have 5 points. If somebody comes and they only does one, well, then the why?
mhm.
What thoughts are coming up that you stopped yourself? Because it's all in this self-coaching model we teach them. And they could regulate it. That's the point.
Mm. I think that's a really good idea. I think we do something similar, but obviously because mine is so very focused on career stuff, it's a little bit different again. But yeah, all of that tracks. I think for me, I used to advertise as a life coach, and I got so frustrated with people coming to me with like, um, I'm going through a divorce
Uh-huh.
and need help. No, not from a life coach. You don't
Why?
like.
That's a great niche. Are you
I'm
serious?
going through like these people would be like, I'm going through a divorce and I'm feeling a lot of anxiety and depression. Then go get some help. Like you should get help. But that's not, I'm going through a divorce and I need somebody to help me get my shit together. That is a life coach moment. I'm going through a divorce and I can't balance my emotions about it. And I'm having a hard time functioning because of my emotions. Like that's a counseling moment. And I was just like, I can't, it's just I don't have the patience to
Mhm.
sit and when people are in need and upset and like sift through that with them because they don't care. They have
Mhm.
reached out for help and they just want somebody to reach back. And I totally understand that. And
Mhm.
especially like I would find people were reaching out from like Yelp and that kind of stuff, all kinds of
Mhm.
things. My kid uses drugs. I need help. No, my like eating disorder, just like constant barragement of things that were like 85% plus of the inquiries I got were not actually appropriate for life coaching. Like they
Mhm.
were clearly like you have a psychological need and you should go get that addressed.
Mhm.
Where do you like do you find that? Do you have a similar level of frustration? Is there something that you recommend in terms of how you brand that stops some of that? Like, what is
Yeah.
your experience there?
It's the two things you just said. The first part, actually, with the program that I did, we can help with emotional stuff if it's in terms of I want to learn how to manage my own emotions and move forward. If it's the other way, then they're not ready for coaching.
Yep.
Second thing, it's definitely a marketing thing and a filtering thing from your end, because when the net is so big, everyone's just going to be like, oh, I don't understand, and you can help me. So you, even general
That's why
life
I just
coaching,
took the life coaching off. I was like, nope, career coaching, great.
You could say like life coaching for, or like, narrow it so you don't have to pick. All of the stuff you mentioned is your thoughts and emotions anyway. So you just got to decide what you really want to coach on.
Oh yeah, no, I'm very clear on what I want to coach on. We have
Your
now
career.
fixed the problem. Yeah. We have now fixed the problem. But yeah, I did wonder if that's ubiquitous to coaching, or if it was something about our geography or us. So that is really interesting. So with the different entrepreneurs that you meet, first of all, where do you meet them? How do you find clients? How do clients find you?
Yeah. I do a lot of online stuff.
Okay.
So speaking,
like podcasts.
podcast too, audio. Oh yeah, podcasts. I teach for my tribe, but I'll tell you how you even build a tribe in a minute. I'll teach in other people's Facebook groups. I will do local events and just kind of get your voice and your message of who you can help out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then people will come. I like to offer a very specific result that they want.
Okay.
So then people, because it can't just be, everyone does like, I want to make more money, or I want to have more time freedom, like all these vague things. And like, of course we all want that. But like, if you do it more specifically, you will talk to more specific people, and they will in turn reach out and want to be in your vibe, in your circle.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to get a Facebook group going, and I teach a lot of special content in there and then drive people into the group. I also run Facebook ads to an opt-in to build my email list. What else? I do partnerships with people. Like if somebody's coaching on decluttering or, something else, and I'm coaching on business, it'll be like, we'll do a class together.
Okay.
So mix and match. What else? Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that was loads of examples. No, that's great. So most of it through just like putting yourself out there and getting found by people, social media, that kind of thing. I didn't know if there was like, magic cachet of coaches, or, you know what I mean? So because obviously for us, it's so different working specifically again in the career space. Most of that for us happens on LinkedIn. If you haven't noticed my LinkedIn, then it's hard to miss because it's a lot, and it's very opinionated and on brand, shall we say?
Right. Do you have a group? Because you could do groups on LinkedIn too.
Yeah, we have groups.
Okay.
Yeah, we have groups. We have pods. We have all the things. Yeah. And all of that's really helpful. We even have a Facebook group as well that we do. So yeah, we do all of that stuff for our clients as well, and we've dabbled in all that. But it's interesting because again, with entrepreneurs, I think that you get such tunnel vision sometimes that it's hard to see outside of like trying to put one foot in front of the other. So with job seekers, they've got like really like their eyes are everywhere, right? Because they're trying to capture any piece of information that goes by that's going to help them get a role. So it makes our job a lot easier in terms of finding potential people. But I would think for entrepreneurs, it'd be a lot harder to be like, you could jump in front of them and be like, here.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurs
exactly. You gotta. So I'm working on 2 very specific niches right now, which is consistency and marketing. Like if you're not showing up and you're not marketing, you're not going to have consistent revenue.
Mhm.
That's years like 1 to 3. And then I do a whole program with that. The second would be years like 3 to 5, which is getting your business out of your brain
Mhm.
so you can delegate and then have more time and keep all the money and the status you have. There you have to be making more than, I think the minimum is 50 a year, 50,000 a year. You have to be
Mhm.
making already to even apply. Because you're not going to hire people. You're not going to want to do any of that stuff if you don't have your money stuff down. Then your money like quadruples once you do that. And it's so easy. But you have to get out of your brain. So we do these like how to make a process, how to teach it to someone else, how to find people to hire, all of that.
Mhm. That's the one thing I never need help with, Stephanie. I'm really good.
Yeah, and finding
20
people.
years of recruitment,
Yeah.
find people to hire, not a problem, my friend. But yes, the rest of it, oh, and I think it's also really hard as an entrepreneur to give yourself the time to do process stuff because
Mm-hmm.
it's not immediately
Yeah.
money earning. And
Yeah.
so, like, I know me and my partners, we have like a whole list of stuff that's been backburnered, shall we
Mm-hmm.
say? While
Totally.
we're like we're like, we're totally gonna find time this week. I just right before I got on the call with you, I was on the call with one of my partners, and she was like, "This is the week. This is the week I'm gonna do the session." So I'm like, "Are you, Morgan? Are
Yeah.
you?" It will be fascinating to see if by the time this goes live, if that thing has even happened. So just make
That's
sure when it drops, you can ask me if the interview guide is done.
okay. I'm gonna ask.
I don't think it will be. I don't. And that's
Isn't
not because I
that
don't love
funny?
Morgan. It's because I know what our workload looks like.
Right. Yeah. Like you can't look at that stuff until it's almost too late, and then you're wondering why you don't have that foundation or that back work
Yep.
to, yeah.
Well,
So
and
yeah.
like we had like this moment where all of a sudden, like we got in a whole bunch of work and we needed to hire people to back up my amazing writers. Great. We knew people in the industry, like none of that was a problem, but like we didn't have the tools already existing to teach them how to do it our way. So we're
Mm,
like scrambling, trying
yeah.
to be like, no, totally. Give me a second. I'm going to just like,
Yeah.
in the background, madly
Right.
typing. Here's the thing that's obviously been done for weeks that we know is actually real.
Right.
Yeah. And it's just absolutely. But I think that, you know, that's one of like the challenges of working in the entrepreneurial world is that you
Mhm.
do like you only have so much resource and you have to
Mhm.
manage to at some point you have to prioritize the things that aren't necessarily an income vector
Yeah.
because they're going to be a long-term success
Yeah.
vector.
Exactly.
And that is hard. That is
Yeah.
definitely a hard place to be for all of us because
Exactly.
that's where you wind up feeling like, oh my God, I've already put 50 hours into my business this week. I do have small children
Hmm.
who would like to see their mother.
Yeah.
I do have a husband who would like to see his wife. And like
Yeah.
that's where you wind up, you feel like you're making deals with the devil, right? They're like, okay,
Hmm.
I'm going to take this few little bit of time here. What advice do you give folks in that space in terms of creating the space to do that?
Yeah. I will say, before I learned how to manage my thoughts and emotions, it was astronomically harder. Like I was fighting against the tide all the time. It didn't matter how much time I had. It would always be fucked up. Like I would not prioritize or know what I really was creating. I would just work off a to-do list. So learning that skill is vital to making all of this part easier.
Hmm.
And I always put personal things in first.
Mm-hmm.
I always used to do it last, and then it wouldn't get done, or I'd resent whoever knocked it out for me, even though it was
Mm-hmm.
me. Um, so personal things always go in first, and then
Stephen Covey, Big Rocks. Absolutely. I'm a big
yeah,
fan of Big Rocks.
but nobody
Absolutely.
wants to do it, and then they wonder why they're burnt out and frazzled, and it's because I
I
never got my hair cut, I never got a massage, I never went to the gym, whatever it is. Learning how to take care of yourself at the same time is
Yeah.
a must for entrepreneurs.
I think that is great advice.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we ask everybody is, how do you answer it when people ask you how much you make?
I answer it. I'm not shy. Do you want me to
Okay.
answer it?
Yes. Yeah. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So this year, which is my first year as a business and life coach full time, I'm at a little over 125,
Okay.
which is amazing.
That fiscal year. That's great.
It's the last 12 months, like
Okay. Yeah. Literally
12.
calendar months.
Yes. So that was my goal. I met it. I want to do 1 million by 5 years. So
Wow.
it's a big freaking goal. I don't know the how at all. My previous business, I got to 500,000
Okay.
in a much longer period of time, but with
Right.
a big staff. I know it's possible. I just don't. Well, I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to get help and pay a lot of people to help me. So yeah.
That's exciting. That is such an exciting place to be.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time. What have we not talked about?
What have we not talked about? I think just having fun and laughing is also something that entrepreneurs or like serious A-type people like us can always discount. It's like,
Absolutely.
oh, that can happen after or at night or this, but that's something I also build into my day.
Mm-hmm.
Laughing and fun. Like, what is the point if you're not going to like laugh and have fun?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, we will have all of the links in the show notes to you and your business and all of that. But is there anything else you want people to know about that you have coming up that's exciting?
Yeah, I would love if people wanted to pop by the Profit Lounge, which is my Facebook group.
Okay.
And if you're in the group, you get an offer usually every 4 or 8 weeks to be a part of a small free accountability group where it's coach led. I match 4 to 6 people together. We meet for 4 weeks, once a week. You have one goal, and at the end, it's done.
Okay.
So it's a really powerful way to see accountability in action with your peers and with a leader. So if anyone's interested in that, come in the group. And say
we'll
hi.
make sure to have the links to the Profit group on the show notes. But that sounds really cool. I might even come and join for
you
that.
Want to do it? Yes.
Why not? Yeah. All right. I'm excited. Okay. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me today. I feel like we've had such an interesting conversation. I think hopefully a lot of people who are in those positions of looking at like, why did I start this business in 2020?
Mm-hmm.
How did that make sense? Now they know where they can get some help and you've given some great advice as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. This is awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. Bye. You've been listening to Hey, I Want Your Job. For more information on how you can get your own awesome job, visit ONH Consulting at www.onhconsulting.com. We offer incredible resumes, no-nonsense career advice, and real-world tips for landing a job in today's market. Check us out on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Insta for more insider information. Soon, you'll be hearing us say, I'm Michelle Olivier, and hey, I want your job.